We are going to be looking into one of my favorite constructing features in ZBrush, another one, there are many of those. This is called zspheres. This is very unique to ZBrush and nothing really like it exists in other software. We find zspheres under Tool, and here we have a bunch of them, and we have the nice little red one, zsphere. So if we drag this out, and like always, we have to go into edit mode or hit the T key, like this. Now we can enable symmetry by hitting the X key, and now let's go to the front view. This is where this guy here really becomes handy, because now we can just quickly drag on it, so we clearly are in the front view. Apart from this, it's literally impossible to know which way you are facing. You really could be anywhere, but now we know we are facing from the front. Zspheres is a really quick way to build quite complex base shapes which you can keep working from. So what happens now when we start to work on this? Instead of sculpting, we will be using we'll be in draw mode, and we'll be dragging out more spheres. We are using draw, move, scale, and rotate, which is quite different from the other tools because we aren't really using them to actually create stuff. We're using them to move stuff around. So let's see what happens when we do this. We can drag out two spheres like this because you have symmetry on. Let's just quickly change this to better matte cap as well. And now we can use the move tool to move them around. Then we can go back to draw, or we can hit the Q key, and now we can just draw out another one. We can go to move, or we can hit W key. You can see the hotkey for it over here, WER. So we can use the move, and then we can move it down. I highly recommend that you set the draw size to 1 as well. Hit the S key, and just move it all the way down. So this just means that you are not going to be selecting multiple. Let's say we have a bigger brush size like this. Now we are selecting one of them. We just want this here to be affecting only a single one. So now we can move this into place. There are several ways of adding more zspheres as well. One of them is if we go to draw by hitting the Q key, we can just click on it where we want it to be. So we can click on as many as we want. This isn't really going to do anything by itself, but what it will do, it allows us to change the shape of it. So we can easily do this now. Now we can give him some little legs. So now we have a pair of hips here, and we have legs going down. And then if we want to add feet to him, we can just add another one here, and then we can move it. So very easy. We can move one there, and then we just move it around. Another thing we can do is we can hold down, or go to Q, draw mode, and then we can drag out, and then we can hold down the shift key. So hold down, just drag normally, and then hit the shift key. That's going to give us exactly the same size as the last one. This is a really useful way of doing it. We can also hold down the control key while doing this instead. So we can draw it out like so. Then we're going to hold down control key. Now we can just drag it out like so. Do the same thing up here as well. Drag it up, drag it out. Use the W key to drag it out. This is normally how I'm doing and how I'm blocking it in. I'm usually just blocking it in first, then I'm adding the specificity to it. And add the arms to it. We can drag out another one, hold down, and then shift key. And we drag out the arms like so. It's gonna have really thick arms. Then we can hit the Q key and go into draw mode. Then we can add another zsphere in here, W, and then we can move it like so. We can also give him a little head as well, and we can give him another head like so. So this is an incredibly easy way of actually building a base mesh like this. It's particularly useful if you're doing something quadrupedal. We can also give him more segments in the middle here. So now we can use this to pose him up as well. The way we can pose him or change him around is that we can hit the W key to go into move. Then we can just click on, you see these little, almost like it looks like bones between the two. So we can click on them, and then we can just drag this forward. So now we can very quickly pose them up. So now we can pose them into something completely new. So if you want this to be more animalistic, you can easily do that as well. You can just pose it up, and you can move the legs forward like so. Move this up, move this down, and you can move this down like so. So you can very quickly just change this to a whole different character. Within 30 seconds, you can change this. This is why this is such a good constructing tool, because you can create completely new characters in no time at all. This is great when it comes to concepting, because you can just experiment so much. Give them a little tail, Q key. We can drag this out like so. We can hit Q, or just in the Q mode, click here. And another one, we can click here, and now you can just see how we can just block this in. So this is when my imagination just starts to go crazy, when you're just seeing what kind of stuff you can do here. But if you want to move the entire thing around, let's say you want to move it, everything is more forward now. Now you can see what happens, right? That we accidentally just posing this weird character. If we want to just uniformly move everything forward, we can do that as well. If you go into move or W, now we hold the Alt key, and now you can see that we can move everything. If you just hold on the area you want to move from, now Alt is just uniformly moving everything over like this. Super useful stuff. Let's undo this. We can also scale as well. So now you can see we can scale everything up. This is, there are two ways of scaling here. One is we go to the bone in the middle here, or the transition in the middle. That's going to scale up everything uniformly like this. Or we can scale up each individual bone like this as well, or each individual sphere like this. We can also hold down the Alt key, and we can go on a single C-sphere like this, and we can just scale up everything, just really fatten up, make it thin, and just up and down. That works really well. You can do the same thing here as well. It works in a hierarchy. So if you do like the roots here, then it's going to do the entire thing. Or if they're basically parented to each other. So if you do it here, now you can see only the current one, and the next ones are being scaled up and down like so. We can do the same in rotation as well. Now, if we go to R, or sorry, the R key, then we are now in rotation. And now we can just start to rotate this around. Really useful for posing as well. And speaking of posing, we have a whole separate chapter on how to pose with C-spheres as well. You can easily pose your characters with this. A little tip too is that if we go over this and you see that there is like they have a direction, the C-spheres. So if you hold on the Alt key, you can now twist it around like so. Just move this over here. If we want to preview this into polygons, we hit the A key. Clearly, there's no point in having him like this, because this is pointless. Like as we need to convert into polygons, we can sculpt on them. So we hit the A key, and now it looks like we have nice little polygons. But if we look a little bit further, you can see that this looks suspiciously dynameshed. So we have to make sure it's not dynameshed. So if we go under A key, just to toggle between polygons and non-polygons. If we go to adaptive skin, then we set the dynamesh resolution all the way down. You can also click it here as well. This is just on our tool, the adaptive skin and preview. And there we go. Now you can see that we have really nice workable topology. Now keep in mind this topology here is not going to be final topology. You need to definitely keep working on it in terms of like retopology and stuff. But this is really good because you can start sculpting on it right away because it has very nice and even flow. So really good as a starting point. So you can preview, you can also set the resolution up and down. It's really nice to have a super low resolution like this. And now if you want to convert this to actual polygons, currently it's just a preview mode. You can see here, only preview. If you want to convert this to actual polygons, we hit make adaptive skin here, or we click make polymesh 3D. Either will work. The only difference is it gets a different suffix, or prefix rather. So adaptive skin, now you can see C-sphere 1 and PM3. So there we go. If you hit A on this now, you can see that it doesn't matter how many times you try it. This is now completely converted to polygons. So the cool thing about this is now we can keep working on this. If we just want to do a quick demo now, if you use BMV to get the move brush up and running, now you can see that we can just keep manipulating this, and you can just very easily just start to get in some actual volumes for this. Let's say this is like a super speedy dog or something like that. You can just make this really thin, nice character like this, and you can just control it like this. If you want to add thickness to it, you can use BIN for inflate, and now you can just really add some thickness to the different areas like this. Super useful stuff. And as long as symmetry is on, now we get really nice and clean symmetry. You can also smooth it out as well with the shift key. Let's just set the intensity a bit down. Hold down the shift key, go up to C add, and set this down to something like 10, 12%. So now we just get like a lower intensity. So really useful stuff. We can also now use Dynamesh on this. If we go to geometry, Dynamesh, and Dynamesh. Now you can see this has actually been converted to Dynamesh. And now we can start sculpting on this like properly. So now you can just see that this is a fantastic way of working because we had the speed of zspheres, but now we also had the proceduralness of Dynamesh and Sculptris Pro as well. If you want to add some horns to this, you can just easily do this with Sculptris Pro. So this is probably my favorite way of concepting. We are using Sculptris Pro along with Dynamesh, along with zspheres. You just have unparalleled control and speed when it comes to this. So quick and easy to work with.